Issue 25. The issue starts with Rotor putting a camera on Sonic's shoe, a process that naturally bored Sonic to no end because it forced him to stay still for a long time while Rotor fixed it to him. Wait, what? Why couldn't he have just taken his shoe off and been able to walk around just fine without him? A picture of a large eye appears on the TV screen, and Antoine asks when they got the Sci-Fi channel. And Sally tells Antoine to hush for some reason and reveals that Rotor just had his eye too close to the lens. And for some reason Sonic's just learning now what the device Rotor's been trying to put on his shoe is. Why the hell didn't he tell him a lot earlier? Isn't that basic conversation? Hey Rotor, what you got there? Wouldn't Rotor be all excited about his new invention idea and eager to tell Sonic the minute he sees him? I like how after Sonic runs really fast with it, Antoine complains that the camera's giving him motion sickness, because unlike Sonic, he doesn't have the required secondary power of being able to process vision at Sonic speed to avoid running into walls. I really like that the writers thought to have this show up and be solved. It shows passion, thought, care, rather than it just not being a problem at all. And Rotor naturally predicted this and says he put a built-in slow-motion compensator to keep the image clear for this exact situation, rather than forgetting about Sonic's speed. Sonic has a confusion that the camera focuses wherever his toe points, which he probably figured out from moving his shoe and then watching the camera footage on the TV. And Rotor says he's right, but he still needs to watch where he's going, after Sonic runs into a wall from being distracted. Good thing he didn't get too hurt from running at who knows how fast into that. Now it's finally explained why they even wanted to put a camera on Sonic's shoe in the first place. Even if not right away, it's the result of a long-winded explanation that, again, everyone here should already know. Why is Sally only just now explaining this after who knows how long of Rotor putting a camera on Sonic's shoe? Is it normal for Sally to tell her subordinates to do arbitrary stuff and then only tell them why much later? They must be pretty loyal to keep doing it then. But yeah, the camera is for showing Sonic's friends what's at the other end of the portal after sending Sonic into it, risking their best teammate's life in the process. Sally explains that Knothole is in great danger because a new zone portal had been discovered recently. You mean those portals to different dimensions that pop up all over the place? The ones Sonic went into leading to him meeting Al, Cal, and Scourge? Ooh, how dangerous! We all know Sonic didn't come back from those. Nevertheless, Sally assumes that the portal will be highly disruptive, which is probably because of her caution leading to irrational paranoia again, one of her major character flaws. Wait a minute, it could be highly disruptive, but then she says it must be explored? Won't she come to the conclusion that her friends should stay away from it because it's too dangerous? And I'm guessing she's just worried that evil will come out of the portal and wreak havoc. I don't know what else she could mean by disruptive. I mean, at no other point, we've never seen portals mere presences causing, like, crazy stuff to happen. Like, bending physics, so don't know what you mean by that. And the text at the bottom of the panel explains that actually Sally meant the zones you find in Sonic games, which is confusing as hell since I thought she meant portals to other dimensions, especially since later on we had people called zone cops. So having two different concepts called zones in the same comic is very confusing. So instead it seems that the portal is to a creation of Eggman's called the Collision Chaos Zone. And I doubt he created another universe called that, especially since that'd take forever. So I guess this time it means a small region instead. He brags that he allowed the Freedom Fighters to discover the portal so that he could lure Sonic to him. Oh great, just when I thought the comic was done with the unnecessary fourth wall breaking, we have Eggman say that he's also luring Sonic with stolen fan letters from Sonicgram. You could have just said fan letters and have it make sense in universe, but you had to mention Sonicgram, which real-life kids wrote to. And it's in a bag saying US on it as well, when I doubt the US exists on Mobius. Why is the bandit complaining that Eggman's doing something illegal? He's his master. He shouldn't be programmed to be able to care if it's him doing it. The only reason he says this is to tell the audience that tampering with mail is illegal. And then it's revealed that one of the people who wrote fan letters to Sonic, letters Eggman's ripping up, was actually in Rose. Wait, what? Huh? Is this supposed to be fourth wall breaking or in universe? Pick one and stick with it! This is a very creative way to have a logical explanation for why Eggman knows about Amy Rose before meeting her, so I love that. But it doesn't really work in the comics universe. Why do they have to mention Sonic Brands and have US on the bag if there are letters written in-universe by actual fans of Sonic the Hedgehog? And again, that just raises further questions. How did he get his hands on these letters, which would have no reason to leave Knothole, without discovering the location of Knothole? Logically, he shouldn't even have these letters. But he does, and that's why he tells Metal Sonic to kidnap her. Since Eggman has already proven himself to be capable of making a Sonic robot that looks exactly like Sonic in the Sally miniseries, I'm guessing the reason Metal Sonic is in that way is because Eggman just cares about making him look menacing, and somehow got amnesia of how to build perfect robot duplicates after he activated the self-destruct sequence in the building that contained all of them. It's just so weird because compared to the Sonic duplicate, making a robot that looks nothing like Sonic seems like a step backwards. But it can fly, so I guess not. I also like to mention that the whole he's using fan letters to lure Sonic thing gets completely dropped off the face of the earth. He never tells Sonic about the fan letters at all. Then Eggman broadcasts a message to the Freedom Fighters that reaches their TV, despite the fact that he doesn't know where they live. So how did he know where exactly to send the signal to reach them and only them? Is he sending the signal to every single house in the Great Forest at the same time in desperation? But this isn't a pre-recorded message. He's able to have a conversation with Sonic here. If he doesn't know where he lives, why was he able to send a message to his place at all? I like how Amy Rose shows her sassy side by hurting Eggman with her spines and saying he'll be hurt even worse when Sonic finds him. This is what I like about Amy. She's the anti-Peach. Even when she's being kidnapped, she's still sassy and cool instead of playing it safe by being quiet like would be logical but not at all badass. It's because Sonic is the badass compared to Mario. How did Metal Sonic know where to go to find her to begin with though? I guess she doesn't live in Knothole since he didn't find her there and thus find Knothole. How is she keeping herself, like, I guess it's not explicitly stated that she doesn't have parents raising her, but still, how is she surviving if she's surviving outside of Knothole? Well, I guess Jeffrey was able to survive just fine. Are there other Knotholes? I was confused as all hell at first here, and I thought an alternate dimension Robotnik was there, only to find out that Snively was wearing a Robotnik costume instead. I like how he says it's hard to keep his balance in. It's well thought out that the writer saw that would be a problem for him. He's wearing it to fool Sonic, although I'm not sure why he'd need Sonic to think he's Eggman in universe. Snively's job is to fly behind Sonic in an aircraft and burn up the trail behind him, forcing him to proceed to the next zone where the real challenge awaits, because Sonic can't just run to the left or to the right, you know, to avoid proceeding to the next zone. But I guess it's built on a basically two-dimensional plane where he's running along a very narrow plank and so he can't run around the zones. Meanwhile, we cut to the Freedom Fighters, with Antoine and Sally, the so-called heroes, yelling at Sonic for wanting to save Amy Rose from Eggman. I guess they know it's a trap and are just being cautious and practical, but one, they were just saying it must be explored, and now they don't want him to explore the portal? And two, this level of pragmatism to the point of cold-heartedness is not something that should be associated with supposedly pure righteous heroes like Sally. Sonic just wants to save Amy because she's one of his best pen pals. That's sweet, he actually writes back to her as a pen pal and a friend instead of ignoring her. He certainly seems to have a much higher opinion of her than you'd expect, considering later portrayals of the relationship. Sonic is looking a lot nicer than these guys are, who are acting like they wouldn't care if Amy got roboticized. We intend to rescue her. How? What's your plan if you're not going to let Sonic, your best teammate, go to help her? Sonic says that he has a trained spy who will scope out the situation from the air, Tails, who totally isn't going to get kidnapped or something since he's not allowed to be useful yet. I love how meek and humble and confused he looks at being told that Sonic is trusting him to do something important. It's the most sympathetic he's looked since the comics started. But it's also looking at a character. You'd think that he'd be all excited and arrogant that he could succeed immediately, considering how he acts in earlier issues. He is indeed happy and excited, of course, but it's not immediate. He is confused and unsure at first, which is a level of depth to his character that we never saw before. Sally dates the comic by mentioning the late Princess Diana as if she lives on Mobius. See, this is why pop culture references in Sonic don't fucking work. You're having a realistic joke, or realistic reference, based on our reality, and no other, being told a fictional fantasy universe with almost nothing in common with our own. And when it dates the comic, it just makes it feel even more out of place. It takes you out of it. Tails flies through the portal all happy about finally getting to prove himself to his friends, even though this technically isn't the first time he's helped them. But whatever. And says to himself in the sky that the zone is west of Robotnik's new factory. He swoops down low to avoid getting seen rather than going high above and making it impossible for him to get grabbed, and of course gets captured by SWAT-bots, because fuck letting Tails be useful. This is earlier in the comic. Instead, he gets tied to Amy Rose as an extra redundant hostage, when Eggman has no reason to think that he needs to really incentivize Sonic to go on an adventure. Sonic obviously would have gone anyways. So, much like in Sonic's CD story, it's completely arbitrary that he's kidnapping anyone at all. Well, I guess they had to work with what they had. They couldn't not have kidnapping. But still. Eggman's being stupid here by not just roboticizing Tails, since he's a freedom fighter. The camera on Sonic's shoe becomes a Chekhov's gun, as it allows Sally to find out Snively's behind Sonic, burning his path behind him. I like how Rotor has to be upside down to be able to tell what he's looking at. After Sally wonders why Robotnik insists on Sonic going one way instead of logically figuring out that it's indeed a trap like she said it was earlier, Sonic runs into Metal Sonic, who, just like the previous Sonic robot duplicate no doubt, has his dialogue be a lot more entertaining because Eggman bothered to program him to talk like Sonic does. Already this is a much better portrayal of Metal Sonic than the games have ever tried. This is how you portray Sonic's robot counterpart, not by making him arbitrarily silent and boring when Sonic is anything but. This is how you bring a character to life. Sadly, we don't get to find out what Sonic's idea was to get around and make Racing Metal Sonic, because we see Snively in a Robotnik costume for some reason, burning the floor behind him as an incentive to make sure he races Metal Sonic. I guess the plan is that Metal Sonic will win because he's totally superior, and that won't happen if Sonic creatively avoids the race. Not sure how he would have though, since he's standing on a narrow platform with bottomless pits on either side of him. Well, I doubt they are bottomless, but still. After Sonic agrees to the race, Amy starts crying because for some reason she doesn't have faith in him to win. Some fangirl. And she says that she was hoping one day Sonic would get engaged to her. That's the Amy we know. But again, not having faith in him. That's really not the Amy we know. I guess it is better for the tension than her just assuming he's going to win though. But this could have been cut out from the story and nothing would have been lost. Especially since it's like only one panel. We cut back to Rotor complaining that Sonic has entered a new location and his energy field's interfering with the camera somehow. For some unexplained reason. The energy field by which I guess he means its aura, the aura of the things constituting it. Sally orders him to try and get a fix on his previous location, and it's time for action. Hey, does this mean the Freedom Fighter is actually going to do something this time? I'm excited! It'd be yet another way the camera would come in handy as a Chekhov's gun. This is a much more accurate game adaptation than the Sonic 3 Knuckles ones, since this comic makes use of 2 whole zones instead of just 1 each. Wow, that's impressive. And you have Amy being kidnapped and the whole Eggman flying behind Sonic in a race to the laser thing. But when I said make use of 2 zones, I didn't really mean that because Collision Chaos Zone was just there. It's not like we see Sonic using pinball flippers and bouncing up bumpers in the comic. So why include it if it's so misrepresented? You could have called it anything. I do love how creative they're being with the use of the comic's unique assets apart from the story of the actual game. Like using the Freedom Fighters, Snively, and Tails who wasn't in the actual game. This helps the story be original, which is necessary for a comic adaptation or else it'd just be a pointless chill of the game it's not really worth reading. This way, it feels like it's more justified in its existence by being different. Eggman destroys the Crabme as a demonstration of the Final Archway's lethality. But anyways, Eggman's plan is that even if Sonic survives Stardust Stone, Eggman can't even remember the name of his own zone. He'll run under something that will smash down on him. So Eggman's plan seems to have a lot of thought put into it rather than hinging on Sonic somehow losing the race. I like how Metal Sonic reveals that he was fooling Sonic with a hologram of himself, and the real him was just waiting to ambush him. As it shows a prankster side to him that gives life to his characters trying to have fun with Sonic, not merely racing and being a boring robot. I'm not sure why Eggman would even put a hologram projector in him to begin with, unless that was a reference to the Metal Sonic holograms you can destroy in Sonic CD, but that's not holograms literally coming from Metal Sonic during a race with him, so... And again, if he's aware that it doesn't matter if Sonic will win or not, then this showboating instead of actually trying to win makes even more sense. We cut to Sally and Rotor on a plane as I wonder where Bunny is in the story, and Sally parachutes out of the plane, presumably while Bunny has been sitting at home watching soap operas with a case of the measles. Again. I like how Rotor shows he really respects Sally and understands why Sonic does too. It's sweet. Oh, bullshit, come on. I would have loved to be able to make Sonic do this super peel while still running in the game. Bullshit. Rather than being forced to stop and charge out the super peel and completely break the pace of the game while doing so, Sonic makes every player at Sonic CD intensely jealous by doing it while still running ahead. Surprising Metal Sonic with a new ability Metal wasn't built with because he thought up so recently. Moving at warp speed, whatever that means. Well, let me guess, this is the arbitrary ability that's never going to be used ever again after this, and it's only used because this is a CD adaptation. So it's going to be, well, not as bad as him turning invisible, because it was at least in the games, but still. I'm guessing this is never going to be used again. Well, we'll see. Metal tries too hard to keep up, and the friction from his speed melts his metal legs. Except that shouldn't matter. Why is this making him crash to the ground when Metal Sonic was flying anyways? It's not like he was using those legs. Why doesn't he just keep going? But still, it is good that they try to have an explanation for why someone who's built to be just as fast as Sonic, well, Sonic went faster than him anyway, so he didn't really need to have this problem. And Sally comes in to save the day by kicking Snively before he can press the button to trap Sonic, calling him Robotnik even though Rotor told her that he wasn't Robotnik earlier. And it doesn't look like she was using sarcastic air quotes to make fun of him either. Still, this is a great use of the Chekhov's gun, and letting Sally be badass for once, and give you a satisfying the villain gets karma moment. It's really impressive that the issue actually made use of the characters watching Sonic through a camera rather than nothing coming out of it. Sonic saw it coming a mile away? How perfect is his vision then? And he can't be talking non-literally because that'd make even less sense. Why would he psychically know that Eggman was planning on having him killed with a button press if he won the race? It's a Gary Stu moment if I ever saw one. I think it's really charming and amusing how Sonic condescendingly stands under it, saying he'll do it just to make Eggman feel better. Eggman is like, you will? And then he dashes effortlessly at Sonic speed in a Looney Tunes moment, like Bugs Bunny, which Eggman is somehow surprised by. Why wasn't he suspicious at all? Did Eggman really think that Sonic was that stupid that he just killed himself just to make him feel better? Still, I think this is how you do humor in Sonic right. The humor is coming from action, like Sonic doing stuff. So it's charming. Even if it's not funny, it can still be charming. Even if you don't think it's hilarious and laugh, it's still a good joke as long as it remains charming. It's not like Colors humor where you either find it obnoxious or you laugh, and there is no in between. What can I say? This was a great issue. There were two smart uses of the camera on Sonic's shoe as a Chekhov's gun that let Rotor and Sally be useful. We had Sonic trusting and putting faith in Tails to do something important rather than underestimating his potential. Though that predictably got him kidnapped as a redundant extra hostage, because he's not allowed to be useful yet. But it was still sweet regardless. And I liked how they made use of Snively here, even if the only real reason he dressed up like Robotnik was as a hollow reference to the games. It made no sense in the universe, so it was too meta really. Much like Eggman somehow getting his hands on letters from fans of Sonic the Hedgehog without finding out where Knothole was. I love the way that Amy Rose was explained to be known about by Eggman, but it also makes no sense for the comics universe. Much like it makes no sense that Eggman was able to broadcast at Sonic TV when he didn't know where exactly he lived to send a signal to him. This is supposed to be a world where Eggman is ruling the entire world, and so it's vital that he doesn't know where the heroes are. But he has to know where the heroes are, and he has to, like, if he finds out where someone lives who isn't a robot, then he's going to be able to send people there to roboticize them. So this whole him having letters by people and stuff, it would really work more and better in the games universe rather than this one. And Bunny was at home sick again, I can only presume, and they made no actual use of Collision Chaos Zone because of the lack of pinball slippers or anything in it. So it was a complete waste of a reference. So I'm not calling it perfect just because it referenced the games. But overall, I loved his writing. I loved how entertaining Metal Sonic's talking like Sonic and messing around with him was giving actual character. And the way they made the story original with use of Sally and Rotor and Snively, and the way Metal loses the race in a logical way. It was all great.
This story was written by Michael Gallagher, and it was great.